You tapped your card, and before you could pull your hand back, a little screen said approved. It felt instant. It felt like nothing. But in that 1 second, a message left the shop, raced across a network built by the biggest banks in the world, found the one bank out of thousands that holds your money, asked it a question, got an answer, and came all the way back. A round trip, sometimes across an entire continent, in less time than it takes to say the word approved. And here's the strange part. When that screen lit up, no money actually moved. Not 1 cent left your account. What really happened in those 2 seconds was a conversation, not a payment. The money comes later, quietly, hours after you've already walked out the door. So let's slow it down. From the instant your card touches the reader, all the way to the moment your bank truly pays, step by step, on the map. By the end, you will never tap and walk away the same way again. It starts with the tap itself, and a tap is not a swipe. When you touch the card or your phone to the reader, nothing physically connects. Instead, the reader is broadcasting a weak radio field, only a couple of centimeters wide, and your card wakes up inside it. This is called near-field communication, and the short range is the whole point. The card has to almost touch the reader, so it's hard for anyone standing nearby to listen in. In that instant, the card does something clever. It does not just hand over your number the way the old magnetic stripe did. It builds a one-time code, a cryptogram, unique to this single purchase, and sends that instead. Even if someone captured it, it would be useless a moment later, because the next purchase needs a brand new code. And if you tapped a phone, it's cleverer still. Your real card number was never on the phone at all. It was replaced with a stand-in number, a token, tied only to that device. The shop and even the thief only ever see the stand-in. So in the first fraction of a second, before anything has left the building, your card has already made itself almost impossible to copy. Now that little code needs to find its way home. The reader now holds a request, but the shop cannot answer it. No store on earth knows whether you have the money. So the terminal turns to the one company that works for the merchant, the acquirer. The acquirer is the merchant's bank, or the payment processor acting on its behalf. Its job is to take that tap and turn it into a proper message the rest of the world can understand. It wraps up the amount, the store, and your card's one-time code into a standardized request, and it reads the first few digits of your card to see where this needs to go. Because those opening digits are like a postal code. They quietly announce which network the card belongs to and which bank issued it. Think of the acquirer as the shop's translator and dispatcher. It doesn't decide anything about your money. It can't. It simply takes the request, stamps the address on it, and hands it up to the rails that can actually carry it across the country. Your purchase has left the shop. Now it enters the network. This is where the map really opens up, because now your request joins the rails, the card networks, the names you know, Visa, Mastercard. And here's the thing most people get wrong about them. These networks are not banks. They don't issue your card. They don't hold a single dollar of your money. What they run is a road, an enormous private messaging network wired between tens of thousands of banks at once with one job. Carry a request to exactly the right bank and carry the answer back in a heartbeat. So the network reads the address the acquirer stamped on your request, and out of every bank connected to it, it routes the message to the one that issued your card. It might be a bank 2 towns over. It might be a bank on the other side of the country or an ocean away. The network doesn't care about the distance. To it, near and far are the same short hop. This is the 4-party dance at the center of every tap. You, the shop's bank, and your bank, with the network as the road between the 2 banks that will never actually meet. Your request is now milliseconds from the only place that can say yes. At the far end of that arc sits your bank, the issuer, the only party in this whole story that actually knows the state of your money. And now it has to make a decision in the blink of an eye. In the fraction of a second it holds your request, it runs through a checklist. Is this a real active card? Is there enough money or enough credit to cover the amount? And then the hardest question of all, does this look like you? In that same instant, the bank scores the purchase for fraud, weighing where the tap happened, how much it's for, and what you normally do against everything it knows about your patterns. If everything lines up, the bank does something subtle It does not send money. It sets aside the amount, placing a temporary hold, a promise to pay, and it stamps the request with a single word: approved. If something looks wrong, the amount is too high, the card is frozen, the pattern is strange, it stamps it declined instead, and the answer is just as fast. Either way, notice what did not happen. Your bank did not move any money. It only made a promise and turned the request around. Now that answer has to race all the way back. And here is the moment the whole system was built for. The race back. That single word, approved, now retraces the entire path in reverse. From your bank, back onto the network's rails, across the map, down to the acquirer, and into the terminal in front of you. The green check, the gentle beep, the little screen that says you can go. Add it all up: the tap, the acquirer, the leap across the network, your bank's checklist, and the whole answer sprinting home. Out and back, often between two cities that are hundreds of miles apart, and it lands in about a second or two. Fast enough that it feels like the reader simply knew. But it never knew. It asked. Everything you just watched, this entire round trip across a continent, happened so you could stand at a counter and not wait. That's the quiet miracle of it. The speed isn't there to be impressive. It's there to be invisible. And the instant that check appears, you pick up your bag and leave, believing you just paid. You didn't. Not yet. Because approved was only a promise. The real money moves later, in a slower, quieter process with two plain names: clearing and settlement. Through the rest of the day, the shop collects up all its approvals, yours and everyone else's, into a single batch. That night, or soon after, it sends the batch to be cleared. Clearing is simply the bookkeeping. The network tallies who owes what. Your bank owes the shop's bank for your purchase, and thousands of banks are doing this with each other at once. So the network nets it all down to who pays whom and how much. Then comes settlement, the part where money finally actually moves. Your bank sends the funds through the network to the shop's bank, and the temporary hold on your account turns into a real charge. This usually takes a day or two, which is why a purchase can sit as pending before it hardens into a line on your statement. One more quiet detail. Along the way, a small slice of the amount, an interchange fee, typically around 1 to 2% in these illustrations, is kept back and passed mostly to your bank. That fee is simply how the rails and the banks are paid for carrying the message. Not advice, just the plumbing. The tap was the conversation. This, hours later, is the payment. So here's the whole journey, lit end to end. It began with a tap, when your card built a one-time code and handed it to the reader. The shop's bank, the acquirer, wrapped it into a request and stamped its address. The network, Visa or Mastercard, carried that message across the map to the one bank that holds your money. Your bank checked the card, the funds, and the odds of fraud in a heartbeat, placed a hold, and fired back a single word. Approved raced all the way home in about 2 seconds, and you walked out. Then hours later, out of sight, clearing tallied the debts and settlement finally moved the money. 2 seconds of conversation, a day or two of quiet payment, thousands of banks, one private network, and a message that crossed a continent and came back, just so a screen could say yes before you'd finished reaching for your bag. That's the pattern behind every tap. The approval is the easy part. The journey is the machine. Next time a screen flashes approved before you can blink, remember, nothing was paid yet. A message just ran a marathon across the world and back, so you wouldn't have to wait. This is Veyor, where we trace how the modern world actually reaches you. Next, we follow another everyday thing to its source, how the gasoline in your tank actually reaches the pump from a well half a world away to the nozzle in your hand. If you want to see it pulled apart on the map, subscribe and we'll follow the next one together.